Hey guys, Brig here. Welcome back to my tailoring guide for the end of Battle for Azeroth. In this video, we're going to go over a few ways that you can make gold with tailoring, including a couple of ways that maybe you haven't thought of. And we'll be covering all of the tailoring basics as well. But first of all, let us just check our mailbox, because I have been selling some tailoring gear the past few days. I've also been selling some other gear, so this isn't all tailoring. But quite a lot of it is, and we're going to have a look at that right now. So over the past 24 hours, in terms of satin stuff, we have sold just 4 pieces, which is nowhere near as good as either inscription or blacksmithing was for us. So maybe that proves something, and it kind of sums up the state of tailoring on my server. I know some people do make a lot of gold with tailoring on some servers, but on my server it's really not that good. In terms of the New World stuff at least, and particularly in terms of the gear. I've sold 4 pieces, which is okay, but the profit on them is also very, very little. It's like a few hundred gold profit, maybe 200 gold profit, so really did not make much from the tailoring gear. I made a bit more profit from the bags, and someone has actually reset the market on my server, so they're now selling for 6k each. So right now you're going to make a killing selling bags, and that is something that does happen for bags, at least what I found. Sometimes you can make a lot of gold with them, and other times you really can't, and it's whether someone has reset the market recently, what the prices are saying. So you do have to kind of bear that in mind, that sometimes these just won't be profitable and other times they will. Anyway, let's go over tailoring, and I'll tell you a couple of things where I have found a bit of a profitable market. But like most professions, tailoring has 3 key areas, the first of which is the Battle for Azeroth gear, the second of which is the other Battle for Azeroth items such as bags or mount equipment, and then the final thing is the old world items. And it's old world that tailoring really excels at, and if you want to get into tailoring, you need to start looking past the Battle for Azeroth gear to make the real gold. But of course, one thing tailoring does have that no other profession really has is the ability to make the cheapest expulsum possible by crafting the Tide Spray linen braces. The great thing about these is you don't even have to be level 120 to make them. You can be level 111, I believe. And yeah, you don't even need a high level of tailoring. It's one of the first things you learn. So you can just have an alt with tailoring that is making these for you. But it is one thing that obviously sets tailoring a bit above the other professions, is that it is the ultimate expulsum creator, because all you need is basically 10 Tide Spray linen and a bit of thread. So basically the cost of 10 Tide Spray linen is the cost of 1 bracer, and you need about 6 of them per expulsum. So basically 60 Tide Spray linen equals an expulsum on your server, and you can work out the price of expulsum based on that. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the gear because it's just the same as all the other gear crafting professions. You need a bit of expulsum and a bit of the Najatar cloth, and you can use that to make the uncanny gear. You're going to want to get rank 2s and rank 3s for tailoring because it's not very profitable, at least on my server. And so the problem with tailoring is it's all very cheap to make, so that usually means the profit is just less for any item in the game. So you are going to want to try and get rank 2 and rank 3 just to improve those profits slightly. But yeah, tailoring gear is not my favourite gear. In fact, it's always my worst selling gear in terms of New World gear. Don't know why that is really, but it just is. Obviously, tailoring transmog sells really well, and we will talk about that in a little bit. So the second part of tailoring is the BFA other stuff you can make that isn't gear. So for example, bags. Bags are another key part of tailoring, and the deep sea bag is fairly profitable. I only have rank 2, and it's still making sort of 250 gold on my server. And these sell very, very quickly, obviously, because they're just a very cheap 30 slot bag. We've never had a 30 slot bag this cheap in the game before, so they sell ridiculously quickly, particularly at the moment with everyone leveling alts. And if there is some profit on your server to be made, then deep sea bags is going to be a great thing to get you started. One thing I've found with tailoring is if you can buy the cloth very cheaply, such as from a player in trade chat, then it's going to be much better because the margins are smaller. So for example, if there's a multi-boxer on your server who's always farming Najatar and has loads of cloth, then you could sort of message him and try and get him to start trading you in trade chats via trade windows rather than the auction house, and try and get a slightly cheaper deal. And this should help increase profit margins by up to 50%, particularly for some smaller items such as the deep sea bag. Tailoring, of course, has some other items that sometimes do sell. There are the battle flags, but no one really seems to use many of them. There are the bandages, the deep sea bandages, which some people do use, particularly if they are sort of leveling. And then there is the mount equipment, such as the saddle chute or the sea breeze saddle blanket, which again isn't very profitable on my server, but on some servers maybe it is. I just haven't found tailoring to be anywhere near as good as the likes of blacksmithing or inscription or leatherworking on my server, but that's just me. However, it is definitely the old world gear and the old world items that tailoring really excels in. Of course, tailoring is the only profession that can make cloaks, so if you have got tailoring at a high level and you've got some of the perhaps rarer recipes from other expansions, particularly in the cloaks area, you're going to make a bit of profit. Tailoring is also the only profession that can make shirts, and weirdly people do still buy shirts. They sell probably better than most other transmogs in the game. So if you are looking to find a little niche in the market, then do look at the shirts and maybe try find some of the rarer recipes, and you could make yourself a nice bit of profit. Another little niche market which you should really look into is spell threads. Now for some reason these do sell. I believe some people put them on their gear whilst they are leveling, and as we know right now with the leveling buff and towards the end of an expansion, there are lots of people leveling new characters, trying to get those allied race transmogs and all of that. And some people do put spell threads to speed up the process. Some people just like to put everything on their gear that they can. Haven't really had any luck selling the Northrend patterns, but I think that's because they have spell power on, which we don't use anymore. But the Cataclysm and the Mr. Pandaria ones do occasionally sell. And if you are again looking for a more niche market in tailoring, particularly right now with the leveling, then the spell thread is a great option for you. Also, don't forget about some of the patterns from Northrend. Some lazy tailors do not want to create these themselves, rather they will just buy them from the auction house if you make them. So if there is any profit to be made on your server from things such as Moonshroud or Eben Weave or Spell Weave, then don't forget about these. Craft a few of them, whack them up in the auction house, and you'll be surprised to see that they sell. That's a really good, easy few thousand gold profit just like that. And of course there are some pretty cool robes that you can craft with tailoring, and some of these do sell a lot faster than the usual transmogs, particularly if you can get some of the rarer crafts, and there's loads of guides on Wowhead for trying to get all the different recipes for tailoring. But if you can get some of these and you can sell them, they're going to make very large amounts of profit because not many people put them up, not many people bother crafting them, and particularly, like I say, if it's a rarer recipe, there aren't going to be many on the auction house, and it's a nice little market which you can try and corner. But anyway guys, that is it for this video. I don't like tailoring as much as quite a lot of other professions at the moment, just because it's nowhere near as profitable on my server. Maybe it's different on your servers, but from what I've seen, tailoring just isn't as profitable as the other professions. However, it does make up for that in the bags, of course, and in some of the old world items, which I think for tailoring are some of the best out of any. So don't forget about those. If you are going to get tailoring, make sure you look at other avenues to make your gold rather than just the classic BFA items. Look at some of the shirts, look at some of the older bags, look at some of the spell threads, and see what's profitable, and hopefully you guys can make some gold with it. But that is it for this video guys. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and until next time, see ya.